Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Kellie Bates. I'm the Artistic Program Manager here at WASO, and it's my very great pleasure to present this evening's post-concert talk, very proudly presented by Plan B, and we thank Plan B very much for their sponsorship and ongoing support of events like tonight. And it's my great pleasure to welcome our talented double bassist, Mr. Andrew Tait. Andrew, huge play. I had to remind myself a few times in that last movement to breathe. How did you go?
Yeah, breathing's always an issue. It's a huge work and it builds to a massive climax. It's very satisfying, but yeah, you're a bit out of breath when at the end of it. My desk partner said to me last night afterwards, he said, "Oh, I could hardly move my arm at the end of that, it was practically frozen." So, yeah.
Andrew, I remember my mother once saying to me that I could play any instrument I liked as long as it fit into her little Mazda 3. How did you first start playing double bass, and have you had any logistical challenges?
Well, I have had a few challenges, yeah, but I started playing the bass. I was drawn to the bass by a jazz recording of all things, called Blues on Bach by Modern Jazz Quartet, and I was in a rock band at school, and I heard this solo by Percy Heath, and it just absolutely transfixed me. And from that moment on, I wanted to be a double bass player. And when I started out, at first I thought, I'll learn the jazz double bass, and then I went to Ed Gaston, who is quite a famous bass player in Sydney, and said, "What's the best way to learn jazz bass?" And he said, "Well, go to a classical teacher, get a classical technique, and then you can do whatever you like." And of course, I fell in love with classical music, and that's how I got to the double bass, through the sound of the instrument, listening to it. Everything else is secondary to me. The way, lugging it around is difficult, and this one I've just brought back from London actually, and when you walk up to the check-in with a double bass, first of all, you can't go through all those little ropes that they all set out, because the case is too big, and so you've got to put up with customers sort of getting a bit huffy because you're going to the front of the queue, and then the person behind the desk looks at you with this blank look and of horror and thinks, don't come to me, no, come to me.
But what I can't quite understand is that I think you cycle to work, is that right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Well, that's one of the advantages of playing a large instrument, is that the orchestra carry them around for us. We all have one at home to practice on and one at work, and so that frees me up to cycle.
Okay.
Which I love doing.
And I understand that not only do you play the double bass, but you also make and repair the instruments.
Yeah, that's right. My fascination with the sound of the double bass led me to, as to most bass players, you end up with you love the sound of the instrument, so you want to be able to play the best instrument that you can afford. When my teacher retired, he offered me his double bass when I was a student. It's a beautiful old thing, but there's no way I could afford it. Today it'd be worth $200,000 or $300,000. So that's what inspired me to get involved in making an instrument. And I was quite proud tonight because 5 of the 7 double basses in the section were mine, were made by me.